Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar about how your business could benefit from getting involved in the UK's £250 billion Green Home Improvement Challenge. I'm Loveridge, the founder of Propflo. The webinar will consist of a short overview, a demo and a Q&A. So who is this webinar for? So you might be here today because you want to understand a bit more about how the green home improvements and the opportunity around it, what tools could be used to support your business and your customers, or perhaps you're struggling to get internal buy-in. Maybe it's not a priority, maybe it's too complex or potentially seen as too expensive to undertake. In this webinar, I will briefly run through not only why your business should get involved with green home improvements, but also demonstrate how easy it is to do so. So firstly, apart from being a good thing to do and to combat climate change and to increase our energy security as a country, what's in it for your business? So demand is rising. Solar panel installations have increased by nearly 700% in the last 4 years, and heat pump deployments are also increasing. This is primarily being driven by higher energy costs and bills, and also government incentives. I promise not to mention the general election too much, but whoever gets in at the next election will have to lay out how they plan to reach net zero by 2050, our legally binding target, and Labour promising to reintroduce minimum energy efficiency standards for the private rented sector, for example. It's also a value-added service to your customers. For example, by considering their longer-term needs, you could help your customers get the best mortgage deal, which in turn can help increase your brand, reputation, and retention. And I think really importantly, it's an area where you could grow revenue, potentially make over £700 per property from incentives provided by improvement suppliers. That figure is based on our standard tier, so it could be much more, potentially, 1,400, for example, per property. What I would like to be clear on, though, is that these incentives are sunk costs to the suppliers. So these costs would have been spent on marketing anyway, so the buyer wouldn't get a cheaper deal if they go direct to these suppliers. And indeed, you could potentially pass on some of these incentives, the commission you get, to your homeowners as well, so it would actually be a cheaper deal than going direct to those improvement suppliers. So green home improvements are sometimes quite major upgrades, including solar panels, wall insulation, that sort of thing. So it's always best to get people at the right time. Lenders, brokers, estate agents, and other businesses play influential roles at these particular trigger points, for example. Whether that's someone who has just moved in and planning improvements, landlords having to comply with regulation, to people considering borrowing more to fund upgrades as part of a remortgage. So our vision as Propflo is that whenever anyone comes to a natural point to do green home improvements, they are asked and also supported to do so. So how do we do this? So we're an end-to-end platform that removes the barriers to retrofit. It's quite a complex process. So we provide the portfolio analysis tools to your business so that you can understand the opportunity, but also the risk of not retrofitting. We've also got market-leading engagement tools, which I'll demonstrate later. But we can also monitor the impact that those tools have had and verify works. So we call this a retrofit as a service. This is aimed at essentially helping you to concentrate on what you're good at, whether that's providing finance, buying and selling, managing properties, etc. And we take the heavy lifting in terms of joining up the supply chain, the advice, the guidance, quotes from suppliers, etc. So our leading consumer engagement tool is called GreenVal. I'll demo this in a moment, but just to say it is mobile optimized. It provides a comprehensive business case for the value of doing retrofit works on a property. Unlike other tools out there, it is optimized for conversion. So all the customer needs to do is enter an address, and then they can go through the process. So there's considerably less clicks and less information requested from your customers. We then provide direct quotes to accredited and reputable national suppliers. Crucially, this is non-exclusive, and we do provide a tier where you can select your own suppliers, or if you're an installer yourself, and obviously you won't necessarily want to use our suppliers, you can do so. We also have a well-being rating measuring thermal comfort, indoor air quality, and financial stability. I haven't seen any other tool that looks at well-being and health the way we do. And we also have quite very decent data quality as well. We've put a lot of resource. So these are just two examples. So this 4-bed detached house, for example, there's two large lenders, two different incumbent suppliers, and you can see one is predicting it is an E and it cannot be improved. On a 3-bed mid-terrace house, for example, again, there's a lender that's getting the current rating like way off, but also the predicted energy rating on the flip side is almost too unrealistic. So again, this affects consumer sort of confidence in the tool and whether they go on to then convert and get some of these improvements. So GreenVal is our premium tool, but we have also a number of wraparound support tools for both the homeowner and the business. So we've got this home hub, and this primarily provides one place for the customer to manage their property and associated improvements. We've integrated directly to suppliers, but we've also got some smart home monitoring and insights, including real-time thermal energy efficiency, indoor air quality, and mold risks, so they can see the impact of these improvements on their property. We've also included smart meter data there as well. And for your business, we can also analyze your portfolio or CRM, or purely if you just want to track the impact of improvements and who's using the tool, for example, via our portfolio audit tool. It includes energy rating predictions, grant eligibility indicators, and also viability and targeting insights as well. So you can really start to increase conversion. So we were the first one-stop shop for energy efficiency in a mortgage lender, an estate agent, and a mortgage broker. So we've got a lot of expertise here. And together, just with those, we're engaging over 1.4 million homeowners. So just to give you an example of how they're using our platform, the YOPA has been really quite innovative with buyers, where they wait for a few weeks after the exchange of contracts to send our GreenVal tool to their customers. And this forms part of a wider welcome pack of services to those new owners that YOPA provides. Habito have used our portfolio audit tool to analyse their existing customers and develop tailored messaging for people who are due to remortgage within 6 months. And then again, using our GreenVal tool to engage those customers and then tracking the progress of who's looked at the report, who's got quotes, who's had works completed. And Molo, as a buy-to-let lender, has also been using our portfolio audit tool to essentially look at the risk on their properties now and in the future, particularly around minimum energy efficiency standards, and then using our tool to engage those landlords. So now I'll go over a demo, mostly focused on the GreenVal tool, but I'll also touch upon some of those other tools that I've mentioned as well. So this is GreenVal. This is branded to us, and on the basic tier, this would be stay as Propflo branded, but there are some white label options, so you can change the colors, put your own logos on there, etc. And we've got two reports there. So we've got a homeowner report and a landlord report. And all they need to do is enter an address. So I'll just do a very sort of simple one to give you an overview. So there's the address, and I'm going to go through the homeowner route, and that generates a report. And then this first section is about understanding the total value for doing retrofit works on your property. So what the total financial benefits over the lifetime versus the total costs. And then we break down those benefits and costs as well. If this property was below a C, we would also include an estimate of mortgage savings. If this was a landlord, we would also include an estimate of tax savings as well. And we also include any additional costs. So it's not just all rose tinted, it's a full accurate picture. And then all of this is clickable, so if people don't know what an EPC is, they can read into that, and if they want to explore how these are calculated or individual costs and benefits, they can do. But we do realise that not everyone's going to be doing all of those retrofits at the same time up front. So what we do is, as you go down the report, list the improvements that are recommended, and then start to indicate which ones do have a typically good return on investment. We then show you the impact on the performance of the property in terms of energy efficiency, environmental impact, and as I mentioned before, well-being. And again, what we're doing here is measuring thermal comfort, indoor air quality, and financial stability. So is it cooler in the summer, warm in the winter, how well ventilated it is, and how insulated you are from price rises in future. We've then got us a brief section on benefits, so what the energy savings per year. We've also done an estimate of increased affordability, so how much more can you borrow on your property. And for landlords, we've also got a section on whether they're currently compliant with minimum energy efficiency standards. They can then go through and explore each of those selection improvements based on what's important to them. I'll just do solar panels as a good example, so they can see how that compares to other improvements, look at a sort of general description and some considerations. They can mark it as done, so if you haven't got the data that they've already got solar panels, they can mark it as done. They can get more information, or they can add it to the action plan. That updates the business case, and again, they can see the breakdown if they choose to. They can then go on to add-ons. So these are potentially lower cost, but potentially higher impact solutions. So draft exclusion, thermal curtains. We've even got a partnership with Ripple Energy. So if people can't get solar panels or wind turbines for whatever reason, they can actually buy into a cooperative energy farm, whether it's wind farm or solar farm, and then get those energy savings directly off their energy bills. So that's a really good alternative there. They then review their action plan, what they've selected, and then fill out their details to get a direct quote from their suppliers. So that's the end-to-end green vow solution. It can end there, but we also give them access to this home hub. So the main purpose of this is essentially to help them manage their improvements all in one place. We've integrated directly to improvement suppliers, so quotes get updated in real time. Once work's completed, documents get saved against this home hub as well, and you can set reminders around maybe when warranties are expiring, for example. They can go through the tool again, but they can also, we've done a filter about what grants could be available to them, and they can start to investigate, look through what those grants entail, and they can start to go through and check detailed eligibility there. I won't go through all of this, but one thing we have done is integrate with a leader in terms of smart home insights, including mold risk, heat loss risk in terms of the structural performance of the property, all the way through to dust mite allergens. And they can start to dig down into the data around humidity, temperature, CO2, and even smart meter data. So that's the consumer-facing tools. For the business, we also have a portfolio audit tool. So you can upload your CRM or your loan book, and this is actually real data. This is Bristol, Bath, and South Gloucestershire. And then you can look at what valid EPCs there are, which ones don't have an EPC, what the benefits, the costs. There's a few things here around bandings, how they compare to national average, emissions, current and potential. We've got pathway analyses. Interesting here is around what commission is potential around individual properties, but also on your portfolio. And then we've got a number of insights around improvements and the sort of makeup of that portfolio. On our paid plans, you can then explore that data in more detail. So you can select which ones are maybe below a C and can get to above a C, for example. And there's a number of different insights on here as well. So you can look at environmental impact, carbon emissions, financed emissions, viability insights, affordability insights. I won't go through all of these, but we've got a lot of information there. But if you don't want to do any of that and you just purely want to track the engagement on the Green Vow tool, you can do. So we've got a funnel here. So who's actually searched for their properties, who's got quotes, who's had quotes accepted and work scheduled, etc. And then on paid plans, you can then start to dig down into campaign tracking and get a lot more information on who's going through that journey. And if you want to, say that you're a lender and you want to link it to any green finance, you can also order EPCs here as well to verify any of those works. So that's the demo in short. So again, we can sort of go into more detail on some of those wraparound tools, but that gives you hopefully a good overview of what we provide. And we do also have a very low barrier pricing structure as well. So we actually have a free tier which includes access to all of those tools, and you're able to get commission from our improvement suppliers. And then you can get white labeled options on our paid tier, so standard enterprise. And on those standard enterprise, you get more access to that generous commissions from those suppliers as well. So just to sort of finish off, we have been getting some really good feedback from customers and industry professionals. Just recently, actually, we've had an industry expert who's got a really good overview of the market in terms of these platforms, and he said that ours was one of the most advanced and polished platforms that he's seen on the market. So we are really pushing at the boundaries.